Thanks for tuning in to another video. This is my full review of the Amazfit Bip Max. I will of course point out some of the important specs, but mostly I want to try to show you what it will be like to live with this watch if you buy it. So I'm going to talk about and show you the watch's features, its limitations, and some cons. So the first thing we probably should talk about is the navigation features on this watch, because you do get a lot for the price. You do get built-in GPS, which is not always the case at this price, and it also has offline maps, which is a rarity at this price. Plus, you do get turn-by-turn directions and alerts when you do get off route, but there is no auto rerouting. That is reserved for the higher-end Amazfit watches. You do lose route creation, which is available on the higher-end Amazfits, and that might come to the Bip Max eventually, but as of now, it is not here, and that is basically you could just enter how many miles you want to go and what activity you want to do, and it will create a route to get you from your starting point and back within the distance that you selected. But on the Bip Max, you can import GPX files, which is really nice, and you can create the files on the fly. So let me just show you. So this is the Amazfit app, which is called the Zepp app. So we got to go into that. Let's click on it. And I'm going to show you we got to go into workout and then go to create route. Now I got to blur out the map up here, but basically what you need to do is pick your exercise, and then you just pick where you want to start from and then where you want to end on the map here. And then you save it and send it to the watch, and it's there. So I'm going to show you, I did one yesterday. All you need to do is get into an exercise here. And we just swipe up, and then we're going to go into navigation. I'll talk a little bit more about the menus in here in just a minute, but you can go to my route, and this is the one I just did the other day. I did it right on the app, saved it to the watch, and it was there immediately, which is, like I said, super easy to do. Okay, so that was the navigation. The next big highlight of this watch is the screen size. This is a 2.07-inch AMOLED display, which is a very big display. You can put a lot of information on that, as you can see. It does have great resolution, and it is super bright at 3000 nits. And this is what it looks like outside. And I also thought the touchscreen was very responsive, so no issues with that. And you also do get auto brightness and an always-on display. So let me show you the always-on display here. So we have to swipe down, get into the settings, and then we have to scroll to display, and then we're going to go into always-on display right here. And you can toggle it on and off manually right here. And you could also schedule it, which is probably the best thing to do, I think. But we go into the style, and you could follow the watch face. So that means whatever watch face you have on the screen here, it'll just show you a minimized version of that watch face, and that will be your always-on display. Not every watch face has it, but most do. And I'll talk a little bit more about the watch faces in a little bit when we get to the cons, actually. But you could also pick the always-on displays that are built in, and these are available no matter what watch face you have. So you could have a digital watch face and get an analog always-on display. So, whatever you want. Let me just show you these quick. So I think there's 6. Let me just show you. This is what is available. So pretty nice variety, right? And that was the last one. There you go. I think that's a pretty nice feature to have a bunch of different always-on displays. So that's kind of cool. Now, just because I'm talking about the display here, you could do the raise wrist to wake, which is nice. And you also do get a tap the screen to turn it on. So let me just show you in settings here. We're going to go into display again. And if we just go here, wake on wrist, and you could do the response speed, sensitive or standard. So if it's not going off enough for you and the watch face is not turning on when you go to look at the clock, you could just change that. And then you could also schedule this, which is a nice feature because then you could turn it off but when you go to bed. You could have it scheduled to be off when you go to bed. So when you move your wrist when you're sleeping, the screen is not turning on. That's one nice thing. Then also we got the tap to wake. So if you click on this, not every watch has this, but you have the single tap to wake the screen, and if you waken it too much, you think you could do a double tap, or you could just turn the feature off. The reason to turn this off is maybe it's activating too much and it's using up some battery. But that, again, is some nice features there. Now I'm just going to show you one other thing. You also do get a night display. So if we scroll down here and we click on this little icon here, it turns on your night display. And you can have this in red, orange, or green, whichever color works best. And then everything is in this color. So this is really nice. You can have it all the time if you want, but mostly I think this is for at night. You don't want a big, bright screen waking you up. You get this kind of screen in this color, and it is available for your watch face, your exercises, your apps, your settings. Everything will be in this color. Now to turn it off, we just go up here again, and you can also schedule this if you want, so it automatically goes on at night, and you can just turn it off there. Now, of course, the other thing we are concerned about is the build quality. This is only $99 in the United States. So what are you getting? You're going to get an aluminum frame here, and it's the brushed aluminum, so I think that looks nice, and I think that hides scratches pretty well. You got your speaker over there and the mic in the corner down here. And if you flip this around, I mean, this actually looks pretty nice, right? It looks like this is metal, but this is plastic. But it does look pretty nice, I think, pretty uniform. But again, this is on your wrist, so I don't really care that it's plastic there. And making it plastic makes it a little lighter, so that's always nice. You do get 2 buttons here. And these are built well, I think. And if you push on these, you get a good click here, and they don't stick out very much. So I don't think you'll get any wrist presses on this. And also going back here, you do get a standard strap, which I always love, as you know. You can just use a quick release right here, and you can put in any standard 22mm band. This is also rated for 5 atmospheres. And you do get 3 colors on this. You do get the silver, which is the one I have. As of now, it also does come in a dark blue and a carbon gray. And the Bip Max is compatible with Apple and Android. Okay, and as I go through the video here, I'd like to show you some different watch faces just so you could see what it looks like and kind of get a feel of what is available. And if you are enjoying the video so far, or maybe even think it's going to get better, please consider subscribing and liking the video. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, now it's time to talk about the battery. And you do get a big battery on this, 550 milliamp hours, which is great. And Amazfit says you're going to get 20 days of battery life. And Amazfit usually is pretty good and spot on with their times, but occasionally they're not, and this is one of those examples. So in my real-world battery testing, I got about 13 days on average. That is with all the sensors on and using it for sleep tracking every night, and about 30 minutes on average of GPS a day, which really does kill the battery. Then the other thing that really kills the battery is the always on display, but I did have that off. Hopefully you get more battery life, but that's what I'm getting. But still, almost 2 weeks of battery life. That's pretty nice, I think. And this is the Amazfit charger here. Pretty standard, and if you had any recent Amazfit watch, you're going to have one of these battery chargers, so that is nice. And basically you just put it on here, and it's a pretty strong magnet, and you get a USB-C. You got to plug it in there. You don't get one in the box, but everyone has a USB-C, right? Now Amazfit says it takes about 1.5 to 2 hours to fully charge this. I charged this a couple of times from 50% to 100%, and it took about an hour or 10 minutes on average, a little over an hour. So maybe it's something wrong with my charger, but it might take you a little longer than you think to charge this. So we're going to talk about the health tracking now, and this is in the Zepp app. It is going to track your heart rate, your SpO2, your stress, your HRV, and it will also track all your sleep stages. I'll show you that in just a minute, but you can just see the information you get here. And the readiness score and actually the biocharge will replace with the hybrid charge. I always want to call it the hypercharge, but it's not that. So the hypercharge takes the biocharge and a bunch of other data. It also does take in your life load record here, so you can manually input information to give it some data, and it takes that. It also takes your sleep analysis into account and basically comes up with a score here. So this is basically designed to give you better training guidance. But it's funny because we have it, the hybrid charge here, and like I said, we got rid of the readiness score, and I can't find the biocharge on here on the app anymore, but it is still in the watch. If you just scroll up here, you still got the biocharge and your wake biocharge. I don't know if that's going away or not, but as of now, it's still on the watch. It might all be transitioned to the hypercharge. And I'll also just show you here what we're doing for sleep. Okay, so this is fair last night. It does give you a sleep score every day. It gives you your duration and all that kind of stuff. And you can see there is a lot of data in here. And then the exertion, I didn't do anything today because, today's just a relaxation day, right? I'm making all my videos. So, but you can see the data there. And then I'll show you, the watch does track 150 exercises, but they did add something to the Amazfit Bip Max and probably on the other watches as well. But if you just scroll over here to get into your exercises, you got this new one, which is the training library. So let me click on that. You got these kind of built-in exercises. And you can see what's available. And then if you just click on one of these, it will just show you everything that's there. Kind of built-in interval training. So there's a lot. Now another upgrade or a different thing that they did on the Amazfit Bip Max. Oh, let me just change the watch face here. So some of this I like, some of this I don't. But let me just start an exercise and show you. Let's do outdoor running. So the thing I like is if you scroll up, you got your training, which is your interval training and template training, which I've gone into more detail in previous videos. But then we got the navigation features, which is nice. And you can start your route right from this if you'd like. You can pick your route. But I wanted to show you that you get your workout settings right from your exercise menu here. So if you want to change something kind of on the fly, like your data page or something like that, or your workout alerts, you can do it. You could also like turn the voice broadcast on and off. I always hate that, so I turn it off immediately. But so that's some stuff that you can change right here, maybe just before you start your workout. Maybe you're doing something different today, and there you have it. It's also easy to find it, I think. It is also in the regular main menu, but maybe this is easier for you. And then if we just get out of that, you also get access to the main menu system right here. Click on this, and this is the main menu, which is nice if you want to change something, maybe the display brightness or, who knows. Everything is right there. So that's kind of cool, right? The thing I don't like, let me do this here. So we're going to start the exercise. I liked it where I could just, scroll over and just end the exercise. And I understand sometimes it might trigger this inadvertently and cancel your exercise when you're midway through it or something like that. But I don't like this option that they have now. So I don't have any finish right here. I have to pause it, and I can't just hit pause. I got to do this and hold it. Okay. But now I got to do the same thing. Now, did I hit that by accident? Did I hold that for 3 seconds by accident? Do I want to resume my workout? Of course not, right? So, and then, of course, we got the workout settings and all that kind of stuff. But now I got to do the finish, and now I got to hold the finish button again, which, I don't know, that's just kind of annoying for me. So you let me know in the comments if you think that's an improvement or not. Okay, so throughout the video, I'll go through the app a little bit here and just show you some features. There's 5 sections here. I'm in the device portion, or device section. And let's move down here. We're going to go into device settings. Wait for this to load. And then we're going to go into workout. And I just wanted to show you, it does have auto detection like all the other Amazfit watches do. And this is the exercise. You could turn it, the alert on and off, because sometimes it's annoying. And you could also change the sensitivity if you want. If it is going off too much, you could lower it. If it's not picking up enough of your activities, you could change it to high. But then also if we go into category, these are all the different categories that it will auto detect, and you can toggle these on and off separately, which is really nice. Okay, so a couple more things we have to talk about in fitness, but first I'll let you know that the heart rate, the step counter, and the GPS were all very accurate for me. And I also just wanted to show you that you can pair your peripheral devices with this watch. So let's get into here. Let me get into settings, and we can go with the Bluetooth. You can pair earbuds as well. You can turn it on and off. Here's your headphones, where you could just hit this, and it will search for your earbuds. Very easy to pair any earbud to this. But then also you get a disconnection alert, which is really nice. So that means if you are separated from your phone by the Bluetooth distance, which is like 30 feet usually, it'll give you a disconnection alert so you can run back and go get your phone, which is always a nice thing. But if it is going off too often for you, you could just turn it off right here. But then if we keep scrolling here, it's in a separate category. It used to be in the Bluetooth menu section here, but now it's its own category. And you just click on this. So now you could pair it with your heart rate monitor or a power meter or anything like that. So a nice feature that is not on a lot of budget watches. So you do get a little extra stuff on the Bip Max, I think. Okay, so again, I'm giving you probably too many details here, but I also just wanted to show you. You're in the home portion of the app here. And if we click up here, you could do My Gear, which is something that you could actually track, the wear and tear on your shoes and your bikes, which is really nice. So you can put like 2 different pairs of sneakers in here, and then you can pick one when you're working out, and it will track how many miles and how much use you've had on it, which is, like I said, kind of just a cool feature. Then also, if you're concerned about if you can transfer your data with other apps, or if you click here, third-party account linking, they actually added a lot of stuff here. So look at all the stuff that's included here. A lot of things. Okay, so that's enough on fitness. So you don't get Siri or Gemini on here, and the older Amazfit watches did have Alexa built in, but now you have Zepp Flow, and you also still have sort of a basic assistant on here. So let me just show you that. If we go into settings here, and we're going to scroll down here, voice assistant. So we got Zepp Flow and offline voice control. So basically the offline voice control is for basic stuff, like making the screen brighter, or start a run or stuff like that. But it is nice because you can get it to work just by raising your wrist or just tapping the screen and turning it on, and it will be listening. And again, you could do those basic functions. The Zepp Flow is Amazfit's AI assistant that is for stuff that's a little more advanced, but it's definitely not as advanced as Gemini or Siri. So let me just show you here. Who won the Super Bowl in 2025? So, basic stuff here. You could also ask, for weather and set an alarm and all that kind of stuff on the Zepp Flow. So this is the smart features of the watch, basically phone calls and text messages I'm going to go over. So there's a call coming in here, and I got to blur this out, but I could answer it right here. There is a mic and speaker on here, so you can make your phone call, which worked just perfectly. I could end it if I'd like, but also if I swipe up, I can quick decline the call and send them a quick text message saying, hey, I'm busy, or I'm in a meeting, or whatever, and then you could add and edit these quick declines if you'd like. Okay, so let me show you what a text message looks like and what your responses can be. So this is a text coming in here. You also do get images on here. You get your emojis, which, work just fine. And now these are the ways I can respond to this right on the watch. I got my keyboard. I could do the speech to text, which again works perfectly. I could send an emoji if I like. So I got these emojis, and there's a couple more there, and then I could scroll over here and hit a couple of these things. So there's definitely a lot of emojis you could do. Then the other thing is the AI assistant. If it has more information, it can come up with better responses, but these are sometimes helpful, and then I could just click on this and send it off if I wanted to, which is nice, but I'm going to get out of that. And then I'm also going to show you your quick responses, which are like the phone call, and they're going to be the same thing, and I could edit these, add them. I could put like 20 messages, I think, and just click on this and send it off, which is really nice. This is with an Android phone. If you have an Apple phone, then basically you just get the notification and you can't do anything with it. Hopefully, all the things I just showed you will be coming to your iPhone soon, but as of now, this is only available on Android. Okay, it's time for the all-important cons section. I know you've been waiting for this. This first one actually surprised me, but the watch face selection is actually kind of limited. On other Amazfit watches, there's like 1,500 watch faces. On this one, it's definitely a lot less. Now, I would assume, the Bip 6 did have a lot of watch faces, and the screen size is only slightly different. I don't imagine there's a lot to do for Amazfit to add a lot more watch faces into here, so hopefully that happens soon, but as of now, it's a little limited. The other con is, you do get a very big screen on here, which is nice, actually, but you do have a pretty big-sized bezel here, which is a little, doesn't look as modern. Now, if you have a black watch face on here, it doesn't show nearly as much, but I wanted to show you here with this white watch face so you could actually see what the bezel looks like. And the other thing is, again, it's a big screen, and it's also a big watch because you got the big screen and a big bezel. This is pretty big looking watch, and I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and you could see how it looks on me. So if you have a small wrist, this may not be your watch, and it also might be a little uncomfortable to sleep with because it is, like I said, a little big and bulky. And then also, I'll try to show you this here, but it's very thick, and it sticks out quite a bit off your wrist. So I can imagine this. I don't wear long sleeves very often, but I can imagine it catching on things pretty easily because it does, like I said, stick out quite a bit. That's a better view. There you go. You can see how high it is, and it's just a big watch. It's a little thick and bulky, so that's definitely a con for probably a lot of people. And like all Amazfits, there is no LTE version on this, and Amazfit gives you 4 gigabytes of RAM on this, but as you can see, the available storage is much less. But at this price, $99, I think 4 gigabytes is pretty fair. If you look at the Active 2, it had like megabytes. I keep saying here this is $99 because these are not really cons for what you're getting here, but there is no NFC on this, and you do get built-in GPS, but it is a single-band GPS. Now, another thing that some people may not like, I didn't really go into the navigation of the watch. On my first impressions video, I told you I was really excited about this new design. So the quick toggles, you get the notifications right here. That's kind of cool. But then also, I love this quick tile design here with the, it looks like an app list, right? And in the past, you'd get like 9 on here, and then you have to scroll over to get through all your quick toggles. But on this one, you just kind of scroll through it super fast, and it looks really appealing, I think. So that is definitely an improvement. But some people may not like that. You go over here, you get your exercises. You go over here, you get your apps. In the past, if you went over here, you'd get into widgets, and then you can scroll through here and go through your heart rate and your SpO2 and stress and all that kind of stuff. And it would be available as a widget, and then you hit a button to open the apps. Again, that's a little different on this one. So another thing is if you scroll up here, you get your shortcut cards, which is like the widgets, and you can scroll through these really quick. So I like them because they take up a little space here, and you can scroll through them very quickly, whereas the widgets, you kind of have to scroll over and get through stuff. But while we're talking about the cons here, there are some glitches, and this is one of the glitches, is that if you scroll down here and you go to edit it, it looks like you can edit it where you could, add widgets to it and move it around and stuff like that. But I did this several times where I readjusted my shortcut cards, and it doesn't take. It just doesn't save. So that is very unusual. Usually Amazfit things, I don't really have an issue with any of this stuff, and I don't really find any bugs. So this is a little bit unusual, but just to let you know it's there. Hopefully Amazfit does fix that. Another thing is this is tempered glass, which is not great. And also this bezel here, I mean, if it sticks up, it's a fractionally it sticks up. So if you bump this, there's a nice big screen here. And if you bump this, obviously the screen's going to get a hit. And with tempered glass, it might break. So it might be worth getting a screen protector on this. A couple other things. There is no barometric altimeter on here. There's no temperature sensor. And again, this is not expected, but the Amazfit did introduce the running lactate threshold. And that is on some of their other Amazfit products. Is not on the Bip Max as of now. That might come in the future. And I usually don't have any issues with the processor, and Amazfit doesn't tell you exactly what's inside there. But I did on this. There was a couple of lags and a couple of stutters. No reboots or anything like that. Nothing major, but just little glitches that I noticed. So that is my full review, and I know this was a little long, and there was a lot more I wanted to talk about, but it was just too much. So I had to cut out a lot of stuff, actually. Leave it in the comments if there was something that you really needed to see. I will try to bring it up for next time. Otherwise, subscribe, like the video. I really appreciate all your support, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much.